Hey guys, Substetoet here, and welcome to another tank review of mine. Well, it's only the second one so far yet, but today we have the jagdpanzer E100, the gun with the second largest non-subpropelled cannon on any of the tier 10 tanks, or tanks in general. And what I mean with that is that this tank carries a 170mm or 17cm main armament, which has 1050 average damage, which is a crap ton. Only one of two tanks, also non-self-propelled, that's able to do over 1000 damage with a single shot. And for if you don't know about which tank I'm talking about right now, I'm of course talking about the FE215B 183, but that tank is a whole different story on its own, because that tank has way worse gun handling than the jagdpanzer E100, because the jagdpanzer E100s are actually pretty nice. Talking about that, let's just get ready for this tank review, alright? Well, let's get first the easy stats out of the way, and this tank has 80 firepower, 95 survivability, only 8 mobility, only 9 concealment, but a standard 89 spotting for a tier 10 tank, which is roughly, well, it is 400 meters. And let's go first for the tank's all about, and that's its gun. It's 170mm main armament. It only carries 24 shells, but that's plenty. Double the amount of that the FE1215B has. Its maximum range, minimum penetration is 224mm of penetration. The max is 374, which is even enough to get through the front of a T110E3, and that's ridiculous. It's even able to a little bit overpen and has no trouble getting through. This happened to me 1 or 2 times because those tanks just think they're so protected behind that thick layer of armor, and then a standard shell is able to go through. But the what everybody takes as an average is at 100 meters away, and that's 299. And the heat is 240 all range, because heat doesn't drop off any penetration over range. And heat shells have a 64 to 106mm penetration, doing at least 1050, which is the average on the standard shells, 1750 average damage, sorry. And then you have a almost 4.5 meter fuel range blast radius. And just staying with the gun for a little longer, we have a 25.7 seconds reload time, which is very long. 2.7 seconds aim time, and the dispersion at 100 meters of 0.35. But this is before you take in account crew skills, 100% crew, and everything like that. You can see I have 6 cents. I have brothers in arms, which in total gets my reload down to 21.21 seconds, a maximum range of 720 meters, but it doesn't matter anyway, because you don't even render enemy tanks for quite a while for that range. A max elevation of 17 degrees and 6 degrees of gun depression, which is kind of disappointing. And now moving up to the engine. As you can see, that this tank has a 1200 horsepower engine, which is the same as the Waffensteiger E100 and the regular E100, but because these tanks are all so heavy, it's still a crap horsepower to ton ratio of just under 9 for jagdpanzer E100, a 30 kilometer top speed forward, a 12 kilometer top speed backwards, which it's not great, but there are tanks that have slower backwards, and a 50% chance to get set on fire, which is never that nice to get set on fire. I also always carry premium fire extinguishers myself. Also, this tank gets a lot of engine problems, just like the previous tank, the Tiger, because the engine is located in the lower plate, so if you shoot this tank in the lower plate, your engine is damaged, and a second shot will most likely take it out if you haven't repaired it. And now moving on to the mobility of the tank, and that's its rotation speed, or that how quickly the tank turns, is only 20 degrees a second, and that's not very quickly, but for this size of a tank destroyer you cannot complain, because it's not that bad as well. Also, in the last update, when I did the Kraftpanzer review, they didn't add the ground resistance in the game yet, so it's 1.1 on hard, 1.3 on medium, and 2.3 on soft, which isn't that bad, but it does influence how quickly the tank turns on these terrains. And now the last thing about the jagdpanzer E100, and that's its armor. It has 2,200 hit points. That's the highest of any of the tier 10 tank destroyers. It's even higher than some of the mediums, or most mediums even. Its upper plate is 200mm, its lower plate is 160mm, so be sure to keep it angled. The sides are 120mm thick, so you're very good in the side scraping, and not a single caliber gun is able to go and overmatch you. And the rear of the turret or tank is 150mm thick, and all these sides are very flat. Oh, and the upper hull of the superstructure of the jagdpanzer E100 is 250mm thick, but it has a very weak angle, so it doesn't go up to 270 to 280mm. Plus, the tank has a lot of spaced armor on the tracks. Those side skirts you can see right now are a 50mm of spaced armor. This is very well protective against high explosive shells and heat shells. Plus, the tracks also have a 50mm space. It counts as 50 meters of spaced armor. But that's how the tank is in theory. But now let's see how the tank performs in some gameplay. So here we are on Himmelsdorf, winter edition this time. So you can see here a little bit of the mobility of the tank. As you can see, it only goes 24-25 kilometers an hour. Sometimes a little bit 26, but most of the time, you know, it's just not good. Oh, 30 on the flat. And that's crush some cars, because nobody gives no shits. But where I like to go on Himmelsdorf most of the time, and especially when I'm in a tank destroyer, is going to these destroyed rubbles of houses. I am right here. And most of the time you're also able to get a couple spots. The enemy tanks have a very hard time hitting you. Your lower blade is covered up. Your cupola is barely visible, I believe, on these. Yeah, I'm so tall. I kind of have a little bit of trouble looking through the second layer of buildings. So my cupola isn't even visible because, like I said, there is an extra layer of destroyed buildings between us. And unfortunately I missed my shot. That's very hurtful because these shots cost 2,200 for one single fire. And I'm going to pause it right here, but I'll take my first reaction. You see where I lined it out there? If you have like a very low profile tank and a rear or front turreted tank, you're able to poke your gun out of there and nothing's able to hit you. But unfortunately we didn't have success this time. Most of the time it actually works out with sitting there, but this time it didn't. But the game is gonna go much faster, so a little bit stuttering there, because we're going to take our first victim right here, the T10 in its side. So he had to be very lucky to bounce. But not a lot happens for a little bit, and then 2 shots, 2 kills, and we're wrecking for extra pain. So yeah, I've driven around like a little bit, like an idiot, but this is where the action's almost going to start to pick up while the batch at 15555 is managed to track me, but I'm not in danger unless the other artillery was also firing at me. But we're going to see him a little bit later on, getting spotted again. But I'm going to try and flank these tanks. So I'm coming, well, because I have 2 tanks holding them off, and I hope they don't notice me flanking them in their sides or their backs. So yeah, there's a little more mobility. Kind of disappointing because it takes a little while to get there, and sometimes when it's not as bad as T95 or the T28, but we finally get them in the backs. And I can shoot the jagdpanzer E100 in the side, but I much rather take out a bigger danger that's able to outflank me, and which the jagdpanzer E100 is not able to do. And I absorb his shot because I have very thick side armor and it was very well angled. But now I'm 100% going to be quicker reloaded than this jagdpanzer E100. So I fire at him. A nice little bit above average high roll. But I don't think until right now that I notice the artillery on the back. Right now I notice him. But I'm still reloading for another 9 seconds. So I'm probably going to have to take this shot. Or he doesn't know that I'm reloading, because at this point I'm reloaded right now, but the jagdpanzer E100 has just fired as well, but destroyed one of my allies. And this is a 2 versus 7 situation right here, like a 2 versus 6, and I take a big shot from the M53-55. But I'm still reloading, but I'm pretty sure I'm going to be reloaded quicker than the artillery. Although he has a big gun, I've also noticed that tank doesn't have that long of a reload, but I'm pretty sure I'm going to beat him out on that. But come on, come on, come on, come on. And he just gets around the corner, and now it's getting kind of scary, because he's probably reloaded right now as well. But I just snapshot him and get away with it. And the remaining tank, which is also a jagdpanzer E100 by coincidence, is holding on pretty much on himself as well, managing to kill 2 tanks on his own. And we're going to see him a little later as well, because we have quite a lot of teamwork. Although I get very greedy at the end, and the jagdpanzer E100 gets another kill, and he just fired. But look at what the tank that died, the T125, thought it was a good idea to ram the jagdpanzer E100, and in result he dies. And I get hit by the batch at 155 again, but I still don't see any danger, so I still have my repair kit, but reduced to less than half my health. But I'm almost to the other jagdpanzer E100 on a full health E75. But 2 jagdpanzer E100s should be able to take him out. And Weasley comes online. Thank you for recording my ruining my gameplay, you asshole. No, just kidding. But too bad we don't do YouTube together anymore because he stopped. But now we're finally together, and it's a 2 versus 7 situation. It's a 2 versus 2 right now. So the odds are much better in our favor. But keep in mind that I said I'm going to get very greedy at the end, because this is going to be a very clutch game at the end. But we're together hunting the E75 right now, because he was just like spotted last on H7, I believe. And oh, he's respotted and he's still there, or H8 right now. But 2 jagdpanzer E100s should be enough to take him out. He just fired, so if he is just using the 128, he's 13-second reloads. But there is, and just choose shots of us. There was no way he was going to survive 2 shots unless both of us had an extreme low roll. But I didn't low roll. It was slightly above average low roll, but that was enough to make him finish off. But if I was smart, I would have held my shot and would have had a top gun right now. I'm already following you, buddy. Not planning to change that because we're going to the cap, because we think that the artillery is there. But little did we know at the time that the artillery went into the city and probably was planning to get in our backs, but seeing the E75 died, he kind of had a little bit different plans. But if he was able to do that quick, if he did that earlier, he should have been in our backs already, because that's a very nippy artillery. And I know what artillery it is, because he managed to hit me twice. And the most damage, except for a single shot, I've taken from artillery this game. But taking a long ass time to lumber to the cap circle of the enemy base. But oh yeah, I said if I was smart, I would have held my shot and let the other jagdpanzer E100 fire, because then I would have had another top gun. And I just remembered I already said that, so that now it just sounds stupid. Because this is the not the highest amount of damage I've done in the jagdpanzer E100 so far. We're going to see in the post-game stats a little later on how much I did. But it is the most kills I had and the most intense game. Because now 2 of us are in the cap circle, and if we wait a couple seconds, we're going to see where the Batchat is. And he's now in the cap circle, and I'm like, I want this top gun. And now I'm getting greedy. I'm turning around and I'm going back to the cap. Although I know I don't have the strongest or the fastest tank into a game close, the other people are already pinging to me to stay in the cap circle. Normally I don't do this, but when I left the cap circle, I saw we have 6 seconds. A 6-second lead. He tells me to fall back, and that's how the platoon mate keeps spamming the map for me to come back. But there is a 6 or 5.5 seconds lead in capping, and that means at least I thought that the Batchat was never able to win by capping, or well, not win, but make it a draw. And we're almost halfway at the back in the middle lane of the map again, but the Batchat's already over half of the cap points. This is going to be very close. Like I said, it's going to be. It was a kind of a nail biter because I was platooned up with Actor Storms, and he unfortunately died. I think it was in his T-57. He adores that tank. It's without a doubt his favorite tank in the game. He grinded so much free XP, he wanted that tank. But that may be for a little time, because I'm not very busy at all in the Americans. I've so far only researched a couple French, almost all Germans, a couple British, and I'm also now on the Japanese heavy tank line. Ooh, look at that. We're at this, that was actually all tanks I meet. But 0 seconds. 1. And I managed to shotgun him for my top gun. And did we win this battle? Yes, we did. Very super close. I think I was a tenth of a second later, I would have lost this battle. And oh my. That's a little bit post-game stats moment right here. A Defender medal, only a first class mastery badge. But I managed to do 5,050 damage, and I just blocked enough to survive this battle. And freezing the gameplay right here. As I also managed to get a 2100 experience, and in tier 10 game 50 or 42,000 profit on silver. But anyway guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. Please make sure to leave a like and subscribe if you haven't already. Bye.